Foreigners in Japan. Japan's job market is as extensive as any country, which means there's always something for everyone. However, there are specific industries where foreigners seem to thrive the most, making them popular choices among foreign job seekers in Japan. With that said, here are the most common jobs in Japan for foreigners. English teacher. Teaching English as a second language, ESL, is one of the go-to career choices for foreigners working in Japan. It's not just private tutoring too, you can also teach in private institutions or public schools, depending on how qualified you are. The minimum requirements for English teaching jobs in Japan are usually a bachelor's degree, a native level or near native level of English proficiency, and a spotless criminal record. Having teaching certifications and experience can also work in your favor. While the market tends to be more competitive these days, it can still be worth checking out, as the national average for English teachers in Japan is around 351,000 yen monthly, according to Glassdoor's data. Of course, the exact amount you can earn as an English teacher varies, depending on the institution and your experience. That said, if you're interested in working as an English teacher in Japan, the JET program can be an excellent starting point. Service staff. Working in the hospitality and tourism industries is another popular choice among foreigners. After all, being proficient in other languages is considered an asset in these fields. There are numerous options to choose from as well, from hotels and resorts to cafes and restaurants. However, the salary itself depends on what position you qualify for. For example, Salary Experts data shows that you can earn as much as 13.5 million yen per year if you're a hotel manager. In contrast, you can only make an average of 3.41 million yen annually as a hotel concierge in Japan. There's also the matter of where you're working. Establishments near tourist attractions or bustling areas are more likely to hire foreigners to cater to a more diverse pool of customers. However, you should know that you'll need a solid grasp of the Japanese language, at least N3 to N2 level, to work in these industries. You'll also need to show proof of your skills, usually in the form of certificates and exam results. IT professional. Japan's tech industry is another field many foreigners tend to favor for job opportunities, especially since the country is known for producing some of the world's most advanced technologies. Like its service industry, Japan's job market for IT professionals is vast, so you can always find an opening for your specific specialty. Working as an IT professional in Japan, whether as a software developer or an IT project manager, can also be a lucrative option. Check out our Japan Developer Salary Guide to learn everything you need to know about salaries for IT jobs in Japan. Please note, you might encounter some barriers if you want to enter the country's IT industry, so you'll want to do your research and be careful to choose a great company. Certain domestic Japanese companies can sometimes be hesitant to hire foreign employees or require a high Japanese proficiency level. Still, despite these challenges, IT jobs in Japan can be an excellent path, especially if you manage to find the perfect company to work for. If you're interested in learning more about finding work in the IT industry, we suggest looking at this article. Although it focuses more on software engineering, the tips you'll find here can also extend to other IT jobs. Translator or interpreter. Foreigners who are particularly gifted with languages can also work as translators or interpreters in Japan. It's a versatile career choice too, since almost any industry can benefit from translation and interpreting services. Plus, they don't just need Japanese to English translations and vice versa. Thanks to globalization, there's an increasing demand for skilled translators and interpreters for other languages as well. While you'll need a high level of proficiency in Japanese and specific certifications, in some cases, this career choice can be a good idea for foreigners who want to leverage their language skills. The average salary is around 5.93 million yen annually, which could be higher the more experienced you are. Engineer. Aside from tech, Japan is also well known for having an advanced engineering industry, and the jobs in this field pay incredibly well. The average salary for engineering jobs in Japan is usually about 7.07 million yen a year, and this can be even higher as you gain more experience in the field. Most of the engineering jobs in Japan for foreigners are in the automobile industry, where they're often tasked with designing and improving parts. This can be an excellent opportunity as Japan's car industry is considered one of the best globally. While most of the popular jobs in Japan for foreigners pay well enough, especially if you have plenty of experience, entering more specialized fields usually entails higher salaries. Apart from what was already mentioned, some of the other specialized industries that have the highest paying jobs in Japan include the following: recruitment, sales and marketing, finance, banking, healthcare, law, aviation. For example, recruiting jobs in Japan pay an average of around 4.05 million yen annually, which can sometimes be higher than 10 million yen if you're experienced enough. Meanwhile, you can earn about 10.6 million yen per year in sales and marketing as a manager, and approximately 25.2 million yen annually if you're an executive. For the other industries, the highest average salaries are as follows. Industry or field average salary per year. Finance 9 million yen to 12.8 million yen. Banking 11 million yen to 13.8 million yen. Law 8.73 million yen to 18.4 million yen. Aviation 7.81 million yen to 12.9 million yen. Healthcare 18.2 million yen to 27.6 million yen. These are according to Salary Explorer's recent data, and these figures may vary depending on factors like experience, specialization, and position. With that said, if you specialize in any of these fields, you're more likely to earn more. The higher pay can be convenient, especially considering the generally higher cost of living in Japan. According to the announcement by the Immigration Services Agency, there were 2,823,565 foreigners living in Japan as of June 2021. Background of the increase. The number of companies employing foreigners has increased owing to a shortage of human resources caused by the declining birth rate and aging population. The acceptance of technical intern trainees has increased in particular. The government also accepted more highly educated foreigners and international students. Breakdown of working foreigners. As of the end of October 2021, there were 1,727,221 foreign workers. Let's look at the breakdown. Status of residence based on status, 580,000. Long-term residents, mainly Japanese descendants, permanent residents, spouse or child of Japanese nationals, etc. Technical intern training, 352,000. Intended as an international contribution to convey Japanese skills to foreigners. Activity other than that permitted by the status of residence, 335,000. Part-time jobs for international students, etc. Status of residence in professional and technical fields, 395,000. Professors, highly skilled professionals, business managers, legal/accounting services, medical services, researchers, instructors, engineer/specialist in humanities/international services, intercompany transferees, nursing carers, skilled laborers, specified skilled workers, etc. Designated activities, 66,000. Foreign nurse or care worker candidates, working holidays, foreign construction workers, foreign shipbuilding workers, etc. Number of foreign residents by nationality. Of the 2,823,565 foreigners living in Japan in 2021, the following nationality is the most common. Nationality number of people. China 745,411. Vietnam 450,046. South Korea 416,389. Philippines 277,341. Brazil 206,365. Foreigners should also be aware that not everyone can work full-time in Japan. In most cases, you'll need special permits from the government to work legally as a foreign national in Japan. In fact, even if you already have residential status, this can still apply since it will depend on your residency's limitations and specific category. For example, you'll be only allowed to work in any industry or change your profession whenever you want if you're any of the following. Spouse or child of a Japanese national. Long-term resident. Permanent resident. Spouse or child of a permanent resident. Otherwise, you'll be limited to the specific profession or industry to which your residential status is attached, such as legal or accounting services, journalist, professor, among others. If you want to change your job or industry, you'll need to apply for another permit, or have your specific residential status changed. You should also know that if you're a student, college or lower, and or a dependent, you're not allowed to work in any industry or participate in any income-generating activity. If you want to do so, you'll need to apply and get a permit from Japan's Immigration Bureau, and you'll need to specify what type of work you'll be engaging in. The only exception is if you're only working part-time, but this option has its limitations as well. In this case, students can only engage in part-time work if it meets the following conditions. It won't negatively affect their studies. They can only work a maximum of 28 hours per week. They're only allowed to work a maximum of 8 hours per day when school isn't in session. Jobs in the adult entertainment industry are off limits, even cleaning and dishwashing jobs. In most cases, the available part-time jobs in Japan for students tend to be entry-level positions, and they don't pay as well compared to full-time employment. So considering what was already mentioned, is it easy for a foreigner to get a job in Japan? The answer to this is that it depends. That's because many factors can affect how easy or difficult it would be to find work as a foreigner in Japan. Some examples of these include your highest educational attainment, language proficiency, work experience, level of competency in your specific industry, and the demand for your particular skills in your chosen field. The good news is that Japan is looking to hire more foreigners since it's estimated that they'll need approximately 6.74 million foreign employees by the year 2040. This is an initiative by the Japanese government to ease the labor shortage their country is currently facing. Of course, as mentioned, not all domestic firms are willing to hire foreign employees since it usually entails additional costs for their companies. Nevertheless, things seem to be looking up for foreign job seekers, especially since more Japanese employers are warming up to the idea, particularly in the tech industry. In addition, the Japanese government is becoming more proactive about assisting qualified foreigners so that they can find work in Japan, creating programs like the Specified Skilled Worker, SSW, that offer more job opportunities to skilled foreigners. Multiple government agencies are also working together to provide foreigners the support they need to have a more positive work experience in Japan. Like with any country, there are certain requirements you need to comply with if you want to work in Japan as a foreigner. While some fields like engineering can have more specific requirements that you need to meet before you can find a job, you only need the following in most cases. A valid work visa. Proficiency in Japanese. College degree or enough work experience. A CV or resume. Pass the interview. Among all of these, having a valid work visa is considered the most critical since that's what determines your eligibility to work in Japan as a foreign national. However, this can be tricky as Japan has different categories for work visas, depending on what industry you're in. There are 7 categories for long-term stays or work visas: official, diplomatic, startup, specified, general, working, and highly skilled professional. These are further divided into subcategories, and the conditions for each one varies as well. The designated period of stay is usually the primary difference for these visas, which typically range from a few months to 5 years. The only exception is for diplomatic visas, whose duration is determined by how long their mission in the country will be. As for language proficiency, the restrictions have eased considerably over the years. Nowadays, you're more likely to find more job opportunities if you have at least an N2 level of Japanese proficiency. In terms of educational attainment and work experience, it will ultimately depend on your specific industry and the position you're applying for.